6 to 9 of them. I don't know the exact number. Uh, and it does have a conservative versus liberal makeup, even though they're meant to be independent. Never believe that. I think 4 conservatives and or 4 Republican appointed members there. Then you've got Jerome Powell, who was, appointed by President Trump in 2017 for an 8-year term. Of course, that's blown up in his face. Allegedly, he's a conservative, and then you've got 4 liberals, I believe, or counting this Lisa Cook lady who's got shit canned. I don't. I need some. If anybody has any expertise on that, I need legal help on what the composition of the Federal Reserve Board is. Plus, you've got our Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. He was out in the greater DC metro, well, really Northern Virginia yesterday. I think he was in Arlington, uh, visiting diners and restaurants, promoting no tax on tips on Labor Day and talking to the people. And he said in an interview with I think the Washington Examiner, that the administration seriously considering instituting a declaring a housing crisis emergency, a national emergency on housing affordability. And Zero Hedge had a great write up that I read early this morning that details that. If I can't get it in the nest, I'll try and put it in the pill. But basically, the argument for the administration to um, authorize a national housing crisis, in my opinion, guys, and I blasted a tweet about this yesterday, is President Trump is in open war right now with the Federal Reserve. This is a shadow. He's got basically a shadow cabinet um, on the financial side. He's basically bullying the chairman of the Federal Reserve that he appointed 8 years ago during his first term to resign before his actual term is up in March of 2026. Uh, I don't think Powell's going to do that, but I've never seen this in my life, guys. You've got that situation. You've got his head of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, another billionaire named Bill Pulte, who you guys should follow his account if you don't. He's a philanthropist. He knows a lot about mortgages. Another real estate tycoon like President Trump, who was kind of a media personality that got brought into the administration to run Fannie and Freddie and resurrect their image. I'll talk about that another day because they're thinking about making that a publicly traded stock. The uh, federal Fannie and Freddie subprime lending mortgage markets for kind of poorer Americans to afford a mortgage. We'll get into that another day. That's too big to get into now. But anyway, Pulte has found out that this Lisa Cook lady, who was appointed by, looks like a total DEI hire, by the way, and it's not because she's black. It's look at her. She's underqualified to be on the Federal Reserve Board. Anyway, she's committed much like Letitia James, the AG of New York, and I think Fannie Willis down in Atlanta, the district attorney. These 2 women. Um, what do these Democrat black ladies have with Trump? He's got 3 of them that want to nail his ass to the wall. He's got a big problem with black females, it seems. Anyway, Lisa Cook is engaged in a little bit of mortgage fraud, and she's been caught. And just so you know, that is a high crime. That's not a misdemeanor. Mortgage fraud is one of the most illegal things you could do in the United States if you get caught. It happens all the time. It's considered a white collar crime, quote unquote. But you could absolutely face some jail time for that. It's fraud in the biggest sense that you're getting a lending institution to loan you hundreds of thousands of dollars based on false information. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I don't know why people have a problem saying, "Oh, it happens all." Guys, I've bought like 5 pieces of property in 2 different states in my life, 3 different states. I'm not rich, so it's really, really hard for me to make up money I don't have. So I don't understand why this is like a non-issue for people. It should be a huge issue. I don't fucking lie on my mortgage forms. I never have. and I've been through it several times. I don't think any of you have either, so I don't understand why this lady couldn't be straightforward. What got her into this predicament is she was claiming a primary residence in another state that was not her primary residence to get certain advantages on financing. And yes, you might say, "Oh, people do that all the time." All right, well, I don't know what to tell you guys. N- eh, Not everybody's one of the 8 or 9 most powerful people in the world. And she's sadly, because she's a Biden appointee to the Federal Reserve Board, she's one of those people that decides to set interest rates. So yeah, she's got global importance. So if your buddy that you play golf with committed mortgage fraud and got caught, if your nephew did, I don't know what to tell you guys. Your buddy you play golf with and your nephew who committed mortgage fraud are not one of the central bankers of this planet. So I'm not saying they're more important to you, but they're less important to the rest of us. So yeah, this is significant, guys. And she's been caught. So President Trump has to go in front of the Supreme Court and prove cause. Okay, he has to go up and make a statement that or make the case, his legal team, that this woman is a fraud. She's in violation of federal law. She probably never should have been appointed there in the first place based on her merit. But what does Biden know? He doesn't know what day it is. He didn't know what day it was then. He doesn't know what day it is today. So the auto pen picked her. So that's something. The other thing about the tariffs is basically, I know I am still getting a lot of shit from libertarians and a lot of people from other countries who say that Trump violated USMCA and all this other stuff, uh, that the tariffs are unjustified. And there's still a lot of people who sound very smart on this app, and I'm very, very happy that the message has been getting to them because they've been giving me very passive aggressive DMs over the last month or two, particularly the last 2 weeks, because they're very, very offended that a regular person who's not a lawyer or not an economist, who's really a nobody sitting in my truck talking to you on my phone, understands Article 2 powers vested to the President of the United States. I mean, it's something I learned in high school, and I don't know why this is a big revelation for these smart people. Okay, so let's do a quick couple minute dissertation on that. What you're seeing is Article 2, which are executive powers of the president, versus the 10th Amendment, which basically is state sovereignty, states' rights, and any powers not vested in the federal government, the state shall decide, blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes, right? So the last time, now Democrats are all about this 10th Amendment thing in regards to two things over the last 6 months, or less than that. One is uh, what they consider arbitrary tariffs from Liberation Day, from April 2nd, because in their mind, Congress has the right to legislate tariff rates with particular countries. We'll get into that in a minute. Number two is uh, the whole situation. If Trump is going to federalize the National Guard or send federal assets to, Democrat cities like Chicago, Detroit, Boston, L.A. to basically do what he's done in Washington D.C. Washington D.C. is federal. Okay, it's not a state. The District of Columbia is just that. It is a district that has no state sovereignty, no Commonwealth sovereignty. Okay, we have states and we have commonwealths. We have the state of New Hampshire. We have the state of Maine. We have the state of California. We have the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We have the Commonwealth of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, etc. Okay, we have states and we have commonwealths. All right. A lot of the original 13 colony states are commonwealths like Massachusetts, Virginia. A lot of the Western, during westward expansion, we just kept it simple. Like, when we went out to Oregon or whatever, um, we were looking at states only: Oregon, Washington State, blah, 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 Montana, the Mountain West. They all just became states. There was nobody really living there except Indians, Native Americans. So there was no need to make them a commonwealth. All right. District of Columbia is none of the above, guys. Washington, D.C. is a city. Yes, it's a Democrat run city. It's never had a Republican mayor since uh, what it is basically an autonomous zone that the president, whether his name is Donald Trump, Dwight Eisenhower, Thomas Jefferson, William McKinley, Teddy Roosevelt, it doesn't matter, Harry Truman, JFK, they have autonomy over the District of Columbia, which is why Trump is not getting sued by cleaning up Washington, D.C., because this is in his purview. Okay. It's a city it's basically a federal city, our capital. All right. But the Democrats don't want that model brought over to LA or Chicago. Chicago's in Trump's sights right now due to them. By the way, they had 8 homicides over the weekend. 8 to 20 black men are being and not even men, black children, 13, 14-year-old teenagers are being killed in the south side of Chicago every weekend while we're doing our thing and nobody pays attention. So it's a very dangerous place. It's basically a Democrat controlled insane asylum. It's zombie land apocalypse. Okay. So one of the most dangerous places in America. So the Democrats are all hot and bothered about that, and they're talking about the 10th Amendment, states' rights. And I tried to make this case over the weekend. The last time Democrats were had such a hard on for states' rights was during the Civil War when they wanted to secede from the Union. So very, very interesting. There's been two times in the 250-year history of our country that Democrats all of a sudden become libertarians, and they're all about the separation of states versus the federal government and decentralized federal government. Once was when they tried to overtake the country in 1861 with an insurrection, when they decided, oh, we're not going to be part of the United States anymore. Okay, Democrats were really big into states' rights. 160 years ago, they couldn't get enough of it. They wouldn't have survived 5 years if they had won that war. None of those states would have absolutely collapsed without the North. They had the crops, we had the railroads. They had the labor, we had the money. They couldn't have existed without the North. Never forget that. The South can never rise again because they need the North. All right. So I know that's controversial for people that grew up south of Richmond, Virginia. They don't like hearing a northern boy to say stuff like that, but it is what it is, guys. I mean, I don't look at it. I look at it from an economic standpoint. And Confederates, you're just so you know, if your great great grandfather from Georgia or South Carolina, if Bobby Lee had won that war for the Confederacy, you would have been invaded by the British within a decade, and they would have completely taken everything and ransacked everything. Probably not they'd free the slaves, but they'd probably bring them over to Trinidad or the Bahamas or some other British Commonwealth, some other shithole in Africa, and probably sell them there. So yeah, probably a good thing the Confederacy didn't win the Civil War. Okay, because they would have won the battle, they would have lost the war. Because the British wanted to get their greedy fat little fingers back into the United States. They never got over losing us in the revolution, and there wouldn't be a country left. We'd be the United Colonies of the United Kingdom if the Confederacy had won. So I'm very grateful that President Lincoln and General Grant were able to, basically destroy the Confederate Army. They just like pounded them into submission. So very controversial, but it needs to be said. I think we can get over it now, whether you're a northerner or a southerner. 160. My family wasn't even in this country during the Civil War yet. We didn't get here till the 1890s. So I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't have any colonial blood. All right. I'm just basically a fourth generation American on my father's side, a first generation American on my mother's side. So uh, That's my history. I don't have any dog in this fight. So anyway, that's when the Democrats love states' rights during this little insurrection called the Civil War. The other time is now when they want to protect crime. It's very, very interesting. They like crime and shit like that, so they like states' rights all of a sudden. JD Pritzker, fucking Gavin Newsom, they love states' rights as long as it protects basically black and Hispanic genocide in their states, uh, gun running, human trafficking, uh, all sorts of vile crap. Now they love states' rights. It's funny how Democrats like states' rights for all the wrong reasons. Not when it comes to your firearms, though. Oh, no, no, no. You're a Republican in California. You can't have a handgun, even though your Second Amendment says you can. Very, very interesting. That's why nobody should take these people seriously. They're absolutely the scum of the earth, all of them. So they like that. And I got a bunch of libertarians and people who claim to be conservative on here. They're all upset that Trump is overstepping his bounds. Okay, so let me explain to you Article 2. I just talked about the 10th Amendment. Now here's Article 2. I'll be quick, I promise. All right. So uh, basically, Article 2, what George Washington did when he got the Constitution, when he became president, and I saw this in a documentary. It's on Amazon right now. It's called Washington, but I can't remember. There's a million of them. This one's from 2019, I think. It was a really good one. So what he did was because he really didn't know what to do when he was president of the United States. Okay, congratulations, you're the leader of this new country. And so he read the Constitution, and in all the margins, he wrote down in a pencil so he could, erase it or whatever. He didn't do it in ink. Anytime he saw the mention of the word the president or chief executive, he would write in the margin president. He would just write the word president literally in his very neat handwriting, knowing that that paragraph of the Constitution or that article mentions him as chief executive, so he knows he has a role to play. Now, when the Constitution came out, it was very, very broad and very, very vague, even to these really smart founding fathers who are now leading the country, like, future presidents like Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, blah, 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 John Adams. So they were looking at it. So Washington was looking at it, and what he was able to decipher was that the president of this new United States, of these new 13 states, I basically have a say in all of the foreign policy of this new country. And that includes who we go to war with, who we do commerce with, who we trade with, which is business. This goes to tariffs. And I could really basically, I have a lot of discretion here. So, like back then, some of Washington's challenges is he was getting a lot of pressure from the French because they helped us out to beat the British in the Revolution. He was getting a lot of pressure from the French the French needed soldiers for, I don't know what it was, one of their colonial wars, maybe in Haiti, or I don't know what was going on. But because they wanted a lot of American frontiersmen because we were good fighters and stuff, and it just wanted a revolution. They wanted to form basically mercenary units of former American soldiers or militiamen uh, for not a very hefty sum, and they were putting a lot of pressure on the Washington administration to, hey, we just helped you win a very important fucking war, so it's time to scratch our back. Washington didn't want any part of that, and he had a lot of friction with the French because of that. He said, "Listen, you volunteered that. We're not in a position to volunteer fighting men. We just got over a revolution. I don't know how we won it, but we did. We need our fighting men here. We're having problems with the Indians. We're having problems amongst each other. There's still loyalists that we're trying to stop, spies and stuff that are running up north to Nova Scotia and Quebec, loyalists to the crown. The bootlickers. We were very interested in getting the British bootlickers, preventing them from going into Canada, escaping for a million reasons. They were the ones that had money. They had crops, they had farms, they had slaves, and we weren't really interested in losing that. So there was just a lot of espionage and shit going on in the post-Revolutionary War era. So Trump is using that same power, guys, in 2025. He's saying, "I see a crisis here." In Article 2, it's saying, "I have control over foreign policy and the military. What I'm seeing is a trade war going on against my country. And as chief executive of this country, I have the right to do something about it because the unfair tariffs we're paying to China, the unfair tariffs we're paying to, name the country, is putting us in an economic bind where we can't support the military or we can't establish ourselves economically." Make no mistake, it's the first time this argument's going to be made. I'm very interested to see how the Supreme Court's going to weigh in. Now, remember, guys, back in May, the ruling was very, very heavy that Trump has a lot of executive authority as president. A lot. When it comes to deportations, any matter of national security, that he doesn't have to go, he's not going to Congress asking for a declaration of war against the cartels, or he's not going to Congress asking for a declaration of war against China because of their unfair trade, or India because of their unfair trade practices, right? Um, so if that's not what he's looking for, the Constitution in Article 2 gives him the broad authority, guys, to exercise as he sees fit, whether that's uh, tariffs, whether that's a straight up trade embargo, whether that's a naval blockade. Not that we do things like that anymore, but we could, have naval vessels all around the coast, so trading ships from Europe can't come to the East Coast. Blah blah blah. We have a lot. He has a lot of discretion. All presidents do. So we're going to look at that, and the other last issue is the foreign aid that Congress appropriated, that he's trying to stop before I think the fiscal year is over November 20th through Congress, even though we go obviously till December 31st. But anyway, that'll save us billions of dollars. Last thing as I set this up, guys, is you have a situation where um getting back to Trump and his powers, right? Uh Congress initially, when the country was started, did have full authority to set tariff rates, but you have to remember in 1789, we were only trading with like three countries, the Dutch, the British, and the French. I think Spain a little bit as well. That's it. We weren't trading with China. We weren't trading with South Korea. We didn't even know those places existed, right? So that's understandable that the continental, well, not well, Congress now, federal Congress, it was Continental Congress, that the new 13 states, that's pretty easy when you only have 4 or 5 countries you're trading with. But what's happened? Okay, so in the post-Civil War era, Congress really abdicated. In other words, they walked away from their ability to tariff. There's been certain Supreme Court rulings where the president has, during my favorite time in history, the Gilded Age, so like 1870 to 1911, basically, where the United States, their main source of revenue was tariffs, and we were a very rich country. Oh, by the way, what ended the Gilded Age? It wasn't World War One. It was the creation of the Federal Reserve in, what was it, 1911, 1914? I don't know. Federal Reserve Act. So interesting. This is all coming full circle. Trump's trying to remove a federal bankster, right? Not to be confused with gangster. Criminal, Lisa Cook, confirmed. Mortgage fraud, felony. Uh, and he's trying to go back to the pre World War One era of the United States, where we use tariffs and duties. Now, uh, think of all the presidents we had. You had Grant, you had Grover Cleveland, Rutherford Hayes. I'm trying to McKinley, Roosevelt, Taft, all the way up to Wilson, the worst president. But anyway, we were using tariffs, guys, and presidents weren't getting sued. There were no injunctions. Nobody got impeached. They just like dealt with it, right? And there's I don't have them off the top of my head, but there's been several rulings over that period of 1870 to 1914, where the Supreme Court has ruled, either on an appeal case or an OG case, that the president has full discretion now on tariffs. Okay? Full discretion. So Congress basically decided they didn't want that responsibility sometime around 1870. All right? So the argument you're going to hear from conservatives is that, well, first of all, they don't like tariffs because they think that what George Bush practices is free market trade when it's really globalism. So let's just get that. Let's just be upfront here. All these conservatives on this app uh, are not conservatives. They're globalists that want $5 items from Walmart to proliferate your life. Okay, they're not conservative. I'm not a conservative either. I'm a populist. Okay, you're on the conservative side, you're on the liberal side, or you're for the public, and I'm for the public. I'm for my fellow American, even the Democrats that hate my guts. Okay, so again, we have an IQ deficit with Republicans explaining the economy on this app because they're no good at it. They've been brainwashed by people like Reagan and Bush Senior that, allowing China and India to basically have a monopoly on our consumer market is all good because you know what? We're hands off. We're laissez-faire. We don't believe in protectionism. That just raises prices on America. Guys, I've been hearing the arguments for a very long time, and not a single person has made a convincing argument to me that actually happens, and B, it's actually ever happened. See, our country's not that old, guys. It's very simple to research this crap. We're not ancient Greece here. We don't have to go back to 300 BC. All we have to do is go back to like 1897 and look at how we were printing money back then. No central bank, all tariff revenue, lots of protectionism. And I know the world is a very different place. I understand that. But guys, we're not going to have a country left if you keep electing people like George Bush and to a lesser extent Ronald Reagan. Okay, Ronald Reagan was a very nice man. He was very charismatic. He was an above average president, but the guy was an actor. He was not an entrepreneur like Trump. He never made every paycheck he got said Hollywood at the top of it, or the state of California when he was governor, his governor's salary. Guy never created a job in his life. I liked him. Don't get me wrong, but he was not an entrepreneur. He had no experience in that realm, guys. He was a good populist because he was president of like the Actors Guild, so he was good with people. Like I said, he had charisma, but I mean, Jesus, some of the policy decisions he made, 40 after his landslide victory in 1984, it was like, Jesus, Ronnie, that's that's why I think the Alzheimer's set in and Bush Senior was really running the country. I mean, if you look at what happened after the Reagan landslide in 1984, you had, the stock market crash in 87. You had the Iran Contra affair. We had a lot of CIA fingerprints on his second term. And you got to remember who his vice president was, the OG globalist himself, Robert Walker Bush. All right. One of the most evil men we've ever had as president, and one of the worst vice presidents. He was representing the CIA in Reagan's administration, not so much the American people. So remember, he was the CIA director. Anyway, that's the story. It's a big week. Briefly on UNC and TCU. As you know, being a Patriots fan, Bill Belichick was our coach for 23 years, and now he's, not having a midlife crisis. He's having a senior citizens crisis, dating a 24-year-old at 70. By the way, many people would say I'm just jealous because I couldn't pull that off. Well, I can tell you, being worth $50 million, it might not. Here's one thing I've learned about money and fame, guys. Even though I haven't had either in my life. Well, I've had money, not fame. But You know, money does make things easier and makes you more accessible. It still doesn't buy happiness. Please tell me that his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, who was in the booth last night with Randy Moss and LT, I'm sure she's with the guy for looks. I'm sure she sees a future with this 3-year-old guy where she can, procreate and have children. So it's a mockery of the great football history we have in New England. And he's throwing it all away with this vanity project of coaching UNC Charlotte. I'm sorry, UNC, the Tar Heels, North Carolina, where Michael Jordan went. And, on the basketball side, it's a basketball school. It's never been a football school. And you saw that on full display where they lost to Texas Christian University last night, who evidently were underdogs. But I don't know if you watched that game. I saw after the first drive, I saw TCU in command and control of that game for 4 quarters. I don't know what everybody else was watching. But the reason this weaves into pop culture is we have a situation now where young men, Belichick got 70 recruits to that school, an unprecedented number in the year since he's had, you do a lot of work in the off season before, right? And, he's Nantucket Bill now, just like Howard Stern became Howie Hamptons, right? And he's sold out to get a 24-year-old girlfriend who's not even that hot. Okay. So, well, to him, it's a 10, and I'm slandering this woman because I've seen her practices in the media. And I think I mean, guys, she's trademarking a jewelry line called Gold Digger. Okay. She's reveling in this attention. Okay. Anything from women these days who have a hard enough time. We talk about, women want to break that Instagram culture of young women. And this Jordan Hudson is his girlfriend. She was, oh, by the way, I'm happy to report she came in 4th place in the Miss Maine pageant last year. So for all of you telling me that I'm jealous because I couldn't pull, if I was single, couldn't pull a girl like that, I'll let you know that I used to work with Miss New Hampshire 1997, okay, when I was in high school. So, and I'm not saying I was her boyfriend, but I am saying that we were more than friendly for a period of time. So I don't want to hear this crap that I'm jealous. I mean, that's lazy. That's a lazy take. There's a lot of beautiful young women out there. Bill Belichick is not the first one. It's not the first old guy to pull one. Okay, let's be realistic here. She sucks. She's ruining my coach's legacy, and I think dude. She's trademarking Gold Digger. I mean, what are we doing here? How is this liberating for women? So I would love to know what's going on here because aside from the fact people are saying that she's mid and all, which she is, and all this other stuff. Fucking what are we doing here? How is this empowering the women to have a 24-year-old woman who's very obviously taking advantage of this disheveled old man who's mumbling himself into irrelevance at a press conference? I mean, the only person less exciting, the only old man less exciting at a press conference than Bill Belichick is Joe Biden at this point. So, all right. So let's get to some hands here. So Janet, your co-host, you can go first, then we'll go to Chris. You can talk about any of the above, by the way.
Well, I was just going to add something to the girl. The thing is, guys, you all already know this. You get what you pay for. If you want a woman that's going to be by your side that you can trust and share your life with, then you're going to put time and effort into it. If you just want a girl that's going to bend over when you ask her to and looks good on your arm, well, guess what? You're going to pay a shit ton of money for it, and time and perfume, whatever else she asks for. But you know what you're getting. Any guy that acts like he doesn't, then he's just lying. And the other thing is, earlier at the beginning of this space, you said that you didn't know, well, you had your thoughts about what Trump is going to talk about, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be about Rudy Giuliani. So I was just going to put in my 2 cents for that. But that's all I wanted to add. Thank you for letting me speak.
Yes, thank you. And after Chris goes, I'll get to my prediction. It's not like anything you got to be on the edge of your seat for, but that's a good one, Janet. So Rudy Giuliani got in a very serious car accident on Labor Day weekend. He was actually up in New Hampshire and he was trying to assist somebody, I believe, and he's in pretty bad shape. He's going to pull through, but he's in an almost 80-year-old man that his
He
life
was
is not going to be the
rear-ended.
same. Yeah, Jen.
He was rear-ended.
Yeah, he was rear-ended. Yep. And he's going to have a very difficult tail end of his life. So President Trump is going to give him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest civilian honor you can get in this country. That's for the greatest mayor in the history of New York City, and one of the great Americans who I actually voted for in 2008 for president in the primary. Just a great American, a New York Republican, not a conservative by any stretch of the imagination, but what he did to New York City, guys, in the early 1990s, he turned it and he's had a lot of problems. He should have been the senator from New York, but he couldn't run because he got prostate cancer. He's run for president unsuccessfully, and he's done a lot to protect, basically done a lot for this country. What he did for New York alone was nobody else could have done that. And saying you're the greatest mayor in the history of New York City is very prestigious, guys. That's like saying you're the greatest president. So if Trump's the greatest president we ever had, which I believe he is, Giuliani is the greatest mayor in the history of New York City. And that's like running a country. So thanks, Janet. Chris, what's up, man? Go ahead.
Hey, good morning. Happy draft day. I just wanted to kind of say, Giuliani was kind of the face of 9/11, if you really think about it. He kind of was the guy that was the forefront, kind of all the interviews. I mean, fuck Bush. No offense to whatever, you know what I'm saying. But that's what I just want to say about Giuliani. But about the UNC, I don't know if you saw it. Like after they scored the first touchdown, and they sent the camera to his girlfriend, and she was like looking down into the crowd, like the Wicked Witch looking down, and like kind of with that evil grin, like she's kind of making. It was just a weird sense of, I don't know, it's just a weird vibe that I thought by her view. So I don't like her anything. I don't like her attached to Bill Belichick at all. Not that Bill Belichick's going to do great in college or whatever in the sense, but he did make a comment about like the portal was the first, like got 40 players from the portal and I think 30 freshmen. That's the total of the 70. But he said that he's going to make it more kind of like the Patriot way. He's going to build from the bottom up, right? So I don't think he's going to be constantly doing that, but I think the freshmen coming in each year are going to be great. So I think it's going to be a good thing for UNC, which is, like you said, it's basically a basketball school. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And there was something else, but I'll come back. But I just wanted to say that about Belichick and his witch.
Yeah. Jordan Hudson, and she doesn't spell it like Michael Jordan or like the country Jordan. It's Jordon, and she corrects people in interviews. It's Jordan Hudson. So, yeah, thanks for that clarification.
Oh, and I do correct. I do remember what I was going to say about Chicago. I was talking with a guy at work today, and he's more kind of like how I think, and with all the other stuff kind of going on. But he made a comment. He's like, it's kind of funny that all the the African American people that are in Chicago that are dealing with all this stuff are like gung ho about Trump bringing in the National Guard, about cleaning it up. And if you know and you watch the people that are against it, they are the white Caucasian people that don't deal with the stuff every day. So it's just kind of interesting, and we all know, why they're all kind of gaslighting the people on the media and stuff like that. But it seems like the real people that like the UNIs of Chicago are down with what Trump wants to do.
Yeah, Chris is in the Chicago suburbs. For those of you not the city, so think Home Alone. That's his neighborhood. If you saw the Home Alone movie, or
Not
the
that big of
Breakfast Club,
houses, but yes.
or the Breakfast Club. Wasn't that in any John Hughes movie from the '80s, like Ferris Bueller?
Yes, any John
Yes.
Hughes, correct.
Yeah, in the '80s, that's Chris's neighborhood. So even though those are really nice areas, Chicagoland, but keep in mind that's only what 45 minutes, Chris, from the city, right?
It's 20 miles, so basically like 25 minutes with no traffic, but yeah, on an average like 40 minutes. But yeah, it's not very far. And I've said in your spaces before that the criminals, they definitely know the county, like the county lines where they had where you can what was it, the cashless bail or whatever it was, and they
Yeah.
knew because I dealt with cops that would catch criminals and they would be kind of flabbergasted they were in the wrong county.
Yes, I've because Chicago's in the news like every 5 minutes now. I've been reading stuff similar to that. Very,
And
very
yeah,
interesting.
60 gunshots this weekend, and 80 deaths, or 8 deaths, like you said.
Unbelievable. And the governor, your fat ass governor, doesn't even care. He says there's no problem with crime there. So I'm very, very interested to know if he leaves Springfield at all, which is the capital, for those of you who don't know. I'm very, very interested to know when was the last time he went to like Comiskey Park with the White Sox. That's near the south side, I think, right? I would love to know when he's been like out and about in these black neighborhoods that he's so confident that they don't need any help and there's no crime and everybody's doing great there. And Orange Man bad. This guy is unbelievable. This Pritzker guy, and what he's doing is criminal. What he's doing right now, the propaganda campaign he's running in the media is next level, and the problem is all the liberals in this country buy it. They think that Trump wants to go in there and stop blacks from killing each other, so he's a racist. I mean, and people believe this shit. And you know who believes it? White people in the suburb, white liberals in the suburbs believe this shit.
Well, and Gads, take
It's
this into consideration. Springfield is like 2.5, 3 hours away from Chicago.
right. Yeah, a lot of people think Chicago is the capital of Illinois, and it's not. It's Springfield. And don't forget, guys. How did who was from Chicago? One Barack Hussein Obama, another guy that turned a blind eye while his fellow blacks were killing each other. He was in the state legislature. He didn't do a fucking thing. Idiot. So anyway, yeah, Janet. Thanks, Chris. Go ahead, Janet.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in on that. Yeah, I did see somebody, I don't remember which one of his cabinet said something about it, but they have had a few come out talking about pulling federal funding because it's a sanctuary city and because the mayor is not going to work with ICE and all that different stuff. And also they're starting to pull funding, the Trump administration, from all the schools in the states that are still pushing the trans agenda and things like that. I'm trying to share stuff in the bubble down below as I'm going through my shit show chat to share links.
Yeah, so the bubble's working. I think the nest is not. So if you guys want the articles, I think I posted one this morning, but take a look at that. I think it's the only tweet I have up today. But if you want any of the stuff on on the football game last night or whatever. I've got that. I could DM it to you if you're interested. Just let me know. I'll try and do it today. But prediction. So 2 o'clock, I think because it's on the heels of Labor Day, so this makes a little bit of strategic sense. I believe President Trump may. He's already made the announcement he's going to give Rudy Giuliani the Presidential Medal of Freedom. But I think he's going to declare a housing crisis because he wants this. Well, because it's true. All right, let's not overcomplicate things. This is a war, guys. He is in a non-kinetic political war with the Federal Reserve right now. So all the people that think Trump is some sort of Zionist Jewish banker puppet, you couldn't be more wrong. So this is very, very bold what he's doing, guys, and it's never been done, and it's going to be tested in the Supreme Court. We're on the precipice of legal history here, right? Where the President of the United States has autonomy to fire members of the Federal Reserve, terminate them for a cause. So basically, the argument against what Trump is doing, if you take the constitutionality out of it, which you really can't, but let's just talk about so you can explain this to your normie friends. Evidently, the Supreme Court, if they rule against the president, I don't care how they spin this or not. Remember, there are 6 conservatives and 3 liberals, okay? But anyway, they're going to say that you and I can't commit mortgage fraud. We can commit mortgage fraud, get away with it, but we'll be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But people who are on the Federal Reserve Board, who, oh, by the way, set interest rates on mortgage financing, among many other things, but one of their primary responsibilities and duties is to set interest rates, okay, for the home buying market. They're allowed to commit mortgage fraud. Because make no mistake, guys, Trump's legal eagles are going to have all the receipts and evidence. Lisa Cook is her name. Lisa Cook is she's cooked, guys. Pun intended. The evidence is, I mean, she'll never get hired in the private sector again when she's done with her if she survives this term. I mean, she's a fucking white collar criminal. And that's what the Supreme Court is going to say. You're on the Federal Reserve Board, commit mortgage fraud. That's what the Supreme Court ruling will be if they rule against the president in this case. I don't care what any lawyer on here will tell you because they conflate so many things that confuses the layman on this app. In fact, I would recommend not listening to attorneys because it's a very simple issue of right or wrong. And the golden rule, ultimately, when it comes down to it. You don't need to get into the legalese. Okay, she committed mortgage fraud. They have the evidence. She's been dismissed by the president, and she refuses to. She's still showing up to work, which is incredibly disrespectful. Right? Incredibly. This is so overtly political, guys. The tariff thing is so overtly political. And by the way, for those of you that are worrying about the Supreme Court ruling against the tariff authority of the President of the United States, let me explain when this appeals court struck it down. First of all, again, Obama appointed judge. Shocker. Okay. All right. It was another, I believe the judge was another black woman. Okay. So many of you think I'm being lazy by saying this is DEI or I'm denigrating to women of color. Guys, this is not a coincidence. These are all Letitia James in New York, George Soros funded black woman. She campaigned on putting Trump in jail. Okay. So this is clearly the Democrats creating this retinue around these people like Fonnie Willis in Atlanta. Same thing. Black woman. She wants to emasculate Trump. These people are campaigning in Democrat primaries on getting Orange Man. So why should I not take into consideration that they're not qualified? Because a qualified Democrat will just say, I'm going to beat the Republican in this attorney general race on merit. Not trying to put President Trump in jail like they tried to do in 2023. Twice. 3 times. Okay, you've got Lisa Cook on the Federal Reserve Board, black woman. And now you've got this judge who's saying Obama appointee. So don't think the Democrats are crafty. We're going to put women of color up so Trump won't have the balls to do anything because we'll say he's a misogynist and he's a racist. I can't believe you guys think the Democrats don't put this much thought into it. You know they do. It's a very horrible thing, too, that they're doing this to these women that are, I mean, look at Letitia James. Does she look qualified to be the Attorney General of New York, guys? Has nothing to do with her race or her gender. It's her fucking personality sucks, and her qualifications are lacking. And she's a political operative in a very, very important job that's supposed to be apolitical. All right. So put that, file that away for later. So this Obama judge is saying Trump can't do the Liberation Day tariffs. He doesn't have the right, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. When did she make this ruling, guys? Friday after the markets closed in New York. So it was like 5:36 p.m. Eastern. So an hour after Wall Street closed, going into a holiday weekend where the stock exchange wouldn't be open until this morning, about now. All right. And oh, by the way, in her ruling, she said the tariffs stay in place. There's no injunction. She's basically saying that the president doesn't have this authority, but the tariffs are going to stay in place. It's almost like she knew that Trump was going to appeal it automatically. And she also made this ruling because she has no integrity to stand on her ruling, which is wrong. But if you're wrong, at least have the courage to do it during business hours. If she made that ruling at 11 o'clock on Friday, it would have crashed the market going into a 3-day weekend. All of Labor Day, people would have been, the traders would have had sleepless nights. Bitcoin would have surged, which they don't want. Gold and silver are already surging. The Asian markets would have to adjust. It would have been an economic catastrophe. So she knows that this ruling is political. She knows that Article 2 grants Trump powers to do this. I don't understand why people are having a hard time reconciling this in their mind. I'm doing this with high school history class, guys. Not Grok. That's another guy with a crappy voice that has the Krasensteins in his spaces now. This is coming from the recollection of my mind from high school, okay, which was 30 years ago. So listen, this is remedial crap, guys. Article 2 versus the 10th Amendment. Okay, last time the Democrats fetishized the 10th Amendment was when they were trying to secede from the fucking country in 1861. Okay, how about the other times the Democrats love the 10th Amendment? How about Brown versus the Board of Education when I think it was in Alabama in 1956, I think, after Eisenhower integrated public colleges and universities, the Alabama National Guard had to be federalized by Eisenhower, Republican, General Eisenhower, hero of World War II, to allow a dozen black students to enter a state college in Alabama. Because Governor George Wallace, they weren't even Democrats. They called themselves Dixiecrats because they liked segregation and what have you. That's when Democrats love the 10th Amendment. They love state sovereignty throughout history when it means keeping black people, and they love it when it means protecting black people from killing each other in cities like Chicago. That's when they love it. Not when it comes to you having firearms. Not when it comes to your freedom of speech. Not when it comes to you deciding if you're going to take a vaccine or not. No, they don't like it then so much, do they? These Democrats are a fucking joke, and Trump is opposing them. So he's gonna announce a federal housing crisis today. All right, it's an absolute offensive move against the Federal Reserve. Number one, he's trying to browbeat Jerome Powell into resignation. Although this month, now that we're in September, one of my favorite months of the year, the Federal Reserve is due to review the interest rate levels. And if unemployment is, hovering around 4%, core inflation is generally between 3, they like 2%, but between 3 and 4%. Historically, they will lower the rates based on. So we've met those markers. We're about there on both ends, both accounts. So we'll see what happens. But the federal housing crisis is going to be a big gift to Republicans in the midterms, friends. So it gives them something to run on. That sounds like a Democrat issue, affordable housing, doesn't it? Well, it's going to be a Republican issue in 2026, it seems. And the stage is being set today. All right. So I'd love to have a few more speakers, guys. I don't have much longer, maybe 5 minutes. So now is the time. Please come up and speak briefly. I'd love to hear your opinion. If not, I'll keep going for the balance of this time here. So look for the Supreme Court ruling. I don't know if it's going to come this week, but here's how I think they're going to rule, okay? I think he's going to win on the tariffs, which might be the most important of the two. I think that the Supreme Court is going to bounce the Lisa Cook decision to a lower court, which they shouldn't do, but I think they will. Because I don't think they want to touch it. I don't think John Roberts wants any part of this at all. Clarence Thomas, meanwhile, is rubbing his palms together. He can't wait to rule in favor of Trump. But, sadly, John Roberts has no balls, okay? Bill Belichick's girlfriend has bigger balls than John Roberts, because even though I don't like her, I respect her because she's just shameless in everything she does. Jordan Hudson. So there you go, guys. For Valentine's Day, you can look for buying your wife or girlfriend a fucking piece of jewelry, gold jewelry, from the line called Gold Digger by Jordan Hudson. I'm sure she'll really appreciate that. Oh, here, honey, here's a gold necklace. Oh, where'd you get this? Oh, I got it at the jewelry store. It's from this new line called Gold Digger. Yeah, that's going to go over really well on Valentine's or Christmas, isn't it? I don't know. Janet, what would you say if your boyfriend or husband got you a piece of jewelry from a line called Gold Digger?
I would say, well, did your girlfriend give it back to you? Something like that. But honestly, any gold digger that you buy it for is going to love it because that's what she is. She's a gold digger. But no, I wouldn't appreciate it. I would be hurt if somebody was to give me something with that brand on it. It would be a slap in the face to someone like me. And I'm sure most women that I know and associate with would feel the same way because I think it's trashy. And but just like I said, a man who picks a woman like that knows what he's getting. And then they whine and complain, oh, all she wanted me for was my wallet. It just cracks me up.
I don't even know if they have relations. And I don't mean to get graphic early in the morning. I just think it's his companion. Because it's been my experience, because I work in a lot of rich people's houses, and I see things, guys, that a lot of people don't see. And these guys my father's age that are divorced and living with a girl in her 20s, a woman in her 20s, first of all, they're very friendly to me when he's not home, which I think is very disrespectful, even if she is a scumbag. Disrespectful to him. You're living in his, $2 million house, and you're trying to get in the pants of a married guy who's just trying to do a job here. Number one, which, trust me, guys, I'm under no illusion. Every contractor that walks in that house, she's done that. I'm not unique. I'm just saying, I'm laying out the case here. Number one. Number two, there are other young strapping men that show up there that aren't doing work. So maybe the guy knows that and he's made peace with it. I don't know. But you know, if you're paying for that kind of companionship, you'd want to be exclusive. I mean, that's you know, if I was an old divorced rich football coach, I would kind of have some standards. Maybe, you know, an idiot, but you know, whatever. To each their own. Go ahead.
Well, just like I was saying, any man that dates a woman like that and expects to get to be the only one, you're already in a delusion. I mean, that's just like a woman who's cheating with a man that's cheating on his wife, even if she's single. Why would you think if you're cheating with a cheater that he's not going to cheat when you get him? I mean, to me, that's common sense, but it just, for some reason, people always think, well, I guess they're just a bunch of narcissists that automatically believe that, well, look at me, I'm better, so they won't cheat on me. I mean, I just don't understand any of it. I think it's all ridiculous.
Yeah, it's very hard to understand for sure. Chris, you'll be the last speaker. Go ahead, buddy.
More than probably like a business relationship, and they portray it as a little bit more just to portray. I don't know. I feel, sorry, card to throw by, but I feel that's more of a, I don't know, more of a business transaction.
I do too. Like I said, I've been in this environment, you know, just working for rich people. I see it all the time. I mean, you guys wouldn't believe the shit I see. I wish I could unsee half of the shit I've seen. Honestly, it's amazing when you're working.
And Gads, those.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I you cut off it. Men that are with women for upgrade if the opportunity arose. If you know better stuff, on their would upgrade.
Yeah, the business relationship thing that's hits home for me. I think that's exactly what's going on. It's Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson, not Jordan, Jordan. 4th place in Miss Maine this past spring, just FYI. So she's not all that. You guys have a wonderful day. And thanks, Janet, for co-hosting. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I recorded it because I put a lot of boring stuff in here that you guys can listen to later. So have a great day. If there's any good spaces, not a space, but a good one, send it my way. All right. I'm working alone today. Nobody to talk to, except myself, I guess, which I don't want to do. So if there's anything worth listening to, guys, not a space that 500 people are in, that doesn't mean it's worth listening to, just so you know. All right. Learn the distinction, please. I know you know it. I don't want to hear about what people ate last week or any stupid shit. Tangible conversation. All right. Let's try and elevate the conversation with these once in a while. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a happy Tuesday that feels like a Monday, doesn't it?
If you wear nice clothes, people think you're showing off. If you wear simple clothes, people think you're poor. If you speak your mind, you're rude. If you stay quiet, then you're a coward. If you're successful, then you're arrogant. And if you're struggling, then you're lazy. You see, no matter what you do in life, people will always have something to say. So ignore people and their opinions. Because so long as your God is pleased with you, who cares what people think?
He knows that this is much bigger than him. This is about the American people. They have no idea what they have unleashed. He was ready to go face the cameras and come out swinging.
What will future Americans say we did in our brief time here on Earth? It will be defined by your vision, your perseverance, and your grit. Nothing will sway us, nothing will slow us, and no one will ever stop us. We are Americans. Ambition is our heritage. Greatness is our birthright. And the future belongs to us.